button. So we are now recording the room. We haven't started the episode yet, though. If everybody is ready, we're going to do that on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That one cake looks kind of lopsided. Is that just the style of cake?
That I don't know, but it looks very, very good.
I thought Suki was making the cake.
Suki?
I think it just melted. So Rory keeps going, the raspberry, and eating off of it, and then they keep showing the raspberry, and there's no bites out.
I noticed that.
That's totally true.
Is that part of the different angles discussion we had a few nights ago?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they but that's a continuity thing. They should have remembered that happened, and taken a note of it and just dug into the side of it just so that it looked like it was eaten.
Rory would have definitely picked up better quotes than that.
Crap mom.
If I was in a scene like that with that kind of food, having to eat that kind of food, I would have accidentally eaten too much and gotten sick, because that's something that I did a lot on the show.
Honestly, that's probably the best part of the show, is thinking about how much food they got to eat.
Oh, we got to eat so much food.
Oh yeah, I would have been jealous of people who had scenes with it.
Anytime there was a scene with food, you just were like, oh, you're gonna get leftovers, you're gonna take home with you, and it's just, and the food's good.
You got a lot of free lane fries?
Free what?
Somebody, never mind. Fries from Lane.
Like,
when she worked.
Oh, winkers?
Yes, exactly.
And you paying with so much change?
As a photographer, that hurts.
Ditto, man.
But in all fairness, he's not a photographer. Or did you mean that he actually got the job?
Oh no, just anybody not offering
pay for hourly. It hurts. But that's true, he's not a clerk.
The wedding is also in like 2 weeks.
Oy, oy, oy.
I love how Lorelai's wearing a comic book shirt.
Oh, Dean.
I always love that teenagers entirely disregard the meaning of the word anniversary.
Hey, it is not that bad.
Yeah, it is. Okay, I cook a lot, and it just seems so weird. He's hunched over this short dining table to cut. Like, I feel like his back would just be killing him all night.
Oh,
I feel like there's a lot of counter space, though. I'm realizing that these two are total remarkists. They can't watch something without talking.
You stole their idea. We'll tell everybody that you planned that.
I don't mind. By the way, I'm also sitting exactly as they are on the floor with my legs under the coffee table against the back of my couch.
Is that because you're snuggling with puppies?
No, it's because the whole tech setup makes it hard for me to like be too far away. But it's also kind of comfortable. Very weird.
So weird. When you have a guy who go for the first time, yeah. If that isn't me and my future daughter, I don't want it.
I gotta agree with Luke on that.
Well, that was weird. I forgot this part.
I love this part.
I loved it. For a second, I thought all four of them were holding hands.
It looked like that. I love this part. I'm maybe kind of annoyed with Dean, but I do really like this scene.
Oh man, I'm gonna want to talk about this scene afterwards because I think it's like it's a jump off of what we were talking about yesterday.
Well, that was
Yes,
awkward.
Max, walk away, please.
There are so many signs that they're not ready to get married right in this scene.
Oh yeah, this whole scene clears that. Don't get a discussion late at night.
They're at their cranky.
Although he seems like he's at his crankiest.
Well, that's not good. How have they not talked about this episode?
And then broke that rule.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Broke the boy code.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I just remembered something that happened. I totally blacked this episode out.
I love that we get more Taylor in this episode. I'm
Maybe
also
she does
sad
not
that
care.
that's not going to be able to make it. I love that she had to sit during that little speech. We have to talk about that little monologue later.
I love that Ms.Patty's there.
That would not fly now. I think that's exactly what he expected. Oh my god.
I guess nobody expected that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Michelle.
My memories of Kelly Bishop at rap parties was that she would tear up the dance floor.
She was a dancer, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's her background as a dancer.
That's a dancer is an understatement for Kelly Bishop's background.
Correct.
She was in the original cast of A Chorus Line.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome.
Emily, what are you doing?
I love the song that they have for that monologue.
I just noticed the AOL on the back door. So.
Damn you, Emily.
Here you go, John.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I gotta talk about that after.
He's such a flirt.
And with that scene, we say goodbye to Max.
Michelle! I love Michelle.
Hard of why I could not have loved this note, even though I'm at work. Uh-oh. Oh, hangovers, they're not fun.
Damn. That was rude. Especially to a hungover person.
Oh boy.
Babsy still loves Max?
Oh, I don't know. She's upstairs, so I have to ask.
Thought I understood that. Oh, I forgot about this.
Oh my
This
God.
is my favorite part.
Oh, Luke.
Hey, John, random question. Why are half of us moderators?
Oh, because I just started doing it and then I got caught up in the show.
Oh, I was like, wait, huh?
Yeah. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Actions speak louder than words, and as much as he rants and raves, look at what he does.
I was thinking that a big leap from his earlier speech.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, he wants her to be happy. You know, that's kind of the.
When you really love someone, you just want them to be happy regardless if it's not for you.
Unless you're Patty.
That shot though.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
The town looks really beautiful in that light.
Right.
Wow, I almost cried.
Red light on a wedding night.
Ooh, that was an episode. That was a
That
deal.
was great.
Were we right?
Yeah, that's definitely high up on my list of all of the episodes I've seen so far. That one
Hey,
was
we were
really
silent at
good.
one part.
Yeah. That
Okay,
was
so
good.
what is your how do you feel? Are you
John?
in shock or what?
Not surprised?
Well, no, not surprised because I mean I've been feeling like those two are not right. I mean, didn't expect it to happen that soon. Definitely that last scene was like, I mean, it was written to definitely shock you, even though I sort of saw it coming. I mean, the moment she calls Christopher, it was like, oh, it's over. Like that's it, the end. like there was no saving it. In my mind, it was done. It was over. It was just sort of like, now we're just gonna count down until. But I sort of thought it was gonna be a slow death. I did not expect it to be so sudden. There at the end, that was awesome. I mean, just awesome, just because that was just great storytelling. Feeling really bad for Max, man, really bad for Max. Even though
That's shocking.
I've really not loved that character, but he and also, you know, I think he was also just really like desperately flailing in this episode, you know. So it was he just felt about as vulnerable as I've ever seen that character, you know. And
I
I've
mean,
said
it seems like if you saw it coming, like it feels like he also kind of starts to see it coming. You know what I mean?
Totally, completely. I mean, that's the thing that's so sad. You can just he can feel it even, you know, even in that scene where he's talking about like Rory and Dean outside, you know, he can just feel that she's just not that into him.
Sorry, John, are we going to open up the couch?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And so what happened here with the moderator thing is that at a certain point during the watch, I got like suddenly really nervous that my internet would go out and then I would fall out of the room. And if that happens to me when there's no moderators in here, the whole room goes crashing down. So all of a sudden I just like got in this like quick like moderator moderator thing, and then the episode pulled me back in, and I didn't want to like focus on making people moderators.
That's actually not what would happen.
It's not?
No, that somebody else, like the next person on stage, would get made a moderator automatically.
Oh my God. I just love how you are really like our clubhouse expert.
As Rory would say, you have much knowledge. Sarah.
You truly have much knowledge.
That was Sarah. Yes, sorry.
All right, we are officially opening up the couch to anyone who would like to join us up here on the couch. The couch has just gotten magically longer, lots of cushions. If you're on a beanbag and you'd like to switch to a couch cushion, please, by all means, do so. Anyway, that was a terrific episode. That scene between her and Christopher just was awesome, and Emily was just in rare form, and just so much emotion, so much stuff going on. I definitely want to chat about that monologue, or that monologue, I guess, that scene between Dean and Max, but really it was mostly like Dean kind of giving him the lay of the land, which I thought was so interesting after our discussion yesterday, talking about what has happened to Dean, like why is he suddenly this season kind of clingy, kind of smiley, and hearing that speech, I feel like I get it. Like I understand like what has happened to that character.
Sabrina was flashing away a little
Sorry,
bit.
Sabrina, hit it.
Oh, I was just going to ask if we think that Luke is Jewish, because I have thought about this for many years, and the way he says, it's all right by me, when she asks, is it okay if we use this if we're not Jewish? But I guess later on, or like someone online had said that in a different episode way later on, he says neither of us are Jewish, or we're not Jewish. So that, I guess that confused me, that he was like, oh, it's okay by me if he's not Jewish, but I don't know.
Is Max Jewish?
No, he's Italian.
So
Tasha, she's been flashing.
Tasha?
I feel like if I don't talk, I'm gonna cry. Well, in the sense of the last 5 minutes of the episode. But I won't talk about that yet. I wanted. Are we going in order of what happened? Is that how we're doing this?
Just say what you need.
Yeah. Just let's just whatever you want to talk about, but let's try and keep it on one topic for a while so that everyone can talk about that one topic. So hit us with a topic, Tasha.
Can we talk about the last 5 minutes? Even though it was.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay,
certainly.
Cool. So it shocked me how emotional I almost got, because I've seen this endless times. But the last time I really saw this episode was about 8 years ago, so different vibe now. And it was just I never realized how emotional and how upset Lorelai got until I saw the scene now, and it just it pains me, because I know that she thought that she can make it work, and it probably in her mind and her heart, she wanted it to make it work, because she wanted to be married, and she wanted to have that everything type love, and she wanted it so badly, but she just couldn't. And rather than just marry because that's the thing you're supposed to do, she obviously broke it off. But I think honestly, and this is what I hate about Emily in this episode, I feel like she kind of started that train, and that's what I hate her for right now. But it just it made me so upset, because she literally came in her room and just was throwing things around and was crying at the same time, and Rory was super
upset but also scared of like what's happening. And then
How did
like,
Emily start it, Tasha? What do you mean by that?
I kind of feel like she started it when they were at the bachelorette party and she was
describing her own love for her husband. But that's not
Yeah,
really
she said
good.
That had nothing to do with Max.
Yeah,
Well,
she
no.
just talked about her experience and her love. I don't think it was pointed towards Lorelai. Like you.
Well, I
should
don't
feel
think so
that she was
either.
just talking about her, how she felt right
well,
before.
no.
Well, no, I understand that, but like it kind of, if you saw Lorelai, it kind of got her thinking a lot about everything, which led to the phone call with Chris. But the part that really gets me, and literally I was that so close to shedding a tear, was when Rory kind of jumped on the ball. She's like, mountain, sandy, valley, where are we going? Type thing. And then she's like, let's hit for 5-ish. And Lorelai's like, you were crazy and I love it, type thing. That line almost got me. All right, I'm done.
Can I pipe in about the whole Emily speech there?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be in the minority here with Tasha, although I don't hate her for it. I actually think that there was a part of Emily that knew what she was doing. I think there was a part of Emily that was that's how I kind of read into it, that if her daughter truly loved this man, then she should have no problem with what she's saying. And that doesn't take away from her talking about her love for her husband. And I believe that she really did, feel all of those things. But she's very forthright in a way that we haven't seen her before on the show, which was surprising to me. And so my thought is, look, if Lorelai is truly in love with him, then it should be no problem. But if she's not, she may need to hear that. And it turns out that she kind of did need to hear that. And I think, as painful as it was for her, I totally, completely agree and have an enormous amount of respect for Lorelai that she didn't go through with it. That even though all of those things that come with marriage are all the things that she just craves so much, she wants those things so much, she wasn't. And Max he checks off all the boxes of like just this great guy, and she was strong enough to say no. I mean, and that to me was, for me, it was like one of the big moments for Lorelai for me, because I've said before, like, she's not really my favorite character in the show. I kind of understand her, but I sort of feel like I'm still following a teenager, and it's these moments that where I really get it, where I get her, and she like really becomes a character that I can really get behind and root for.
So Mary,
And Lauren Graham is fantastic in it.
Yeah.
Why? I'm sorry. But Mary wants to say something.
I was going to say, it must be a topsy-turvy day, John, because I feel like I have to defend Emily tonight. I don't think that this is one of the few times where I don't think that she had an ulterior motive. I think it's exactly as she played it. She was drinking. She was reminiscing her daughter's getting married. And, she's thinking back as to, like, what it must be like so she can try and connect with her daughter. And she's just reminiscing in those moments and not realizing the effects that she's having, because in her head, there's no reason for her to suspect that her daughter isn't in love with Max the same way that she was with Richard.
You're here.
But she knows her daughter. She knows that she like every. I can go with everything that you're saying. I can ride on that. The only part of that doesn't really fully connect with me is this idea that she wouldn't think that her daughter might just be sort of in it for all of the romance. and not really truly being in it, because she knows her daughter. She knows her daughter is sort of flighty and
Also,
But her daughter is also the one who refused to marry Christopher, just
But
because
she
it
also
was
knows
the
that-
right thing to do.
She noticed her feelings for Luke too. I think that might have had something to do with it as well.
Well, actually, speaking of Luke, I want to ask about, like, John mentioned the phone call with Christopher, which, yes, has an effect. But how much do you think the fact, that conversation she had with Luke, where she's standing under the chutzpah and saying, you only get married once. You're right, we only get married once.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I when I said that I think that the phone call with Christopher was indicative of their breakup, I meant more from a writing perspective. I was like, I watched that scene and I was like, oh, okay, the end. Like, Max is gone. But I completely 100% believe that what really changed her mind was that scene with Luke there at the end, and that particular line, for sure.
I mean, can we even just talk about the last scene with them, where it hung on them, behind them, both underneath that chuppah, just like for a few seconds, before they cut to the next scene. I mean,
That's
that wasn't,
that's like foreshadowing.
Exactly.
Major foreshadowing.
It was really beautiful. And
God, I love knowing what I know.
So I picked picks for each one of these, like, recordings, and for this episode, I knew all along I picked that picture, because I was just like, that to me is the whole episode.
I think there's a few moments in the episode that lead up to it. I mean, definitely, obviously, you know, what happened with Emily at the bachelorette party, that definitely got her wheels turning. But even before that, when they were outside of the diner and they were getting ready for the demonstration of the new crosswalk, and they were planning out the bachelorette, that's where Luke starts talking about how marriage isn't normal, and, you know, you're not supposed to be with one person. And so I think already at that point, she's kind of thinking, oh gosh, am I making a mistake? And then you then layer on what happened with Emily at the bachelorette party. And then, like, the last final straw was the conversation that happened with Luke. So I think it was what happened with Luke outside of the diner was kind of setting the wheels in motion.
Regina? I agree with that, by the way. Regina?
Hello, Regina.
Sorry, I had like the poor connection banner under me, so I had to wait for a little bit to speak. But I definitely agree. So the way I saw it, I think it was a culmination of things. I think this was like this sort of realization that, like, Lorelai does not indeed want to get married to Max was like a culmination of differing events. I think, well, I don't know. I wanted to say, like, I think we, the audience, can realize that as soon as, like, Luke was, like, asking her all those questions, like, oh, have you thought about this with Max? Have you discussed about this with Max? And then we call towards, like, the conversation that they had in Lorelai's bedroom about, like, what is his role in the house, like, other than making the garlic bread and, like, doing this, that, and the other. Like, how does he fit into their lives? And then, like, again, where he talks about, like, I don't even have my own set of keys. What are we going to do here? And then, like, add the moment with Emily's little spiel, and then, like, the multiple parts where Luke kind of adds his input into things, because I think, like, she definitely takes Luke's words to heart, but I think, like, it's definitely a culmination of all of those differing events from various the couple episodes that we've seen thus far this season that kind of led to this breaking point, like, oh, I didn't want to wear my wedding dress. And then that's why they leave.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think it starts from the very beginning of the episode. She's tasting cakes for her wedding. He's not there.
He's never spent the night before, but he's going to move in when on their wedding night. That's the first night he's going to actually move in there. He probably doesn't have like a sock drawer there. I just felt like
so bizarre.
he just did not fit in at breakfast. He didn't fit in the parental discussion. He didn't fit in. I just feel like it's just one thing after another. And so I do feel badly for him. But at the same time, it's like, buddy, you don't even have keys. Like, can you not take a hint? Can you not see all these signs that are leading up to like she's not marrying you? Even watching the movie, she's on the floor sitting with her daughter instead of like cuddling up to him or even just sitting next to him. It's very clear that he's trying to fit into their world, which Dean has somehow kind of gotten in there. But when you talk about marriage and day in and day out with somebody being part of your family, I don't think that was ever going to happen.
I think
you're
quite.
totally.
I was just going to say, I think quite simply, Lorelai didn't really want a life with him. What she wanted was the fantasy of a marriage with a guy like him. But all of those things that he was talking about, those are all the parts of living a life with somebody, right? Like that's what he was asking about. And she's like, no, don't worry about that. Like she's already taken care of and all of this stuff. Because really, ultimately, Lorelai just wanted this idea of Max, and in that way, sort of Max just is this thing that she has, rather than another person that you spend your life with. Everything okay?
Yeah, there was just a lot of like background noise.
I mean, I don't fault her for saying that Rory is grown up, and probably doesn't need Max to set the rules for her. But I think it's a big red flag that they haven't discussed what their life would be like after. So I completely agree with you, John, that it's like, I once had a friend say that the person was focused more on the marriage because they got to throw a wedding rather than the marriage because they got to be married to someone. And I kind of feel like Lorelai's kind of like that. It's the idea of marriage instead of the actual life of marriage.
Totally. I mean, that's really been my big turnoff on the character for so long. And that's why tonight's episode really like did a 180 for me, right? Like I suddenly was like, whoa, impressive. Even though I could see that came with a lot of pain for the Max character, which, who I also didn't really have much feelings for either. Also, I don't think that Max was necessarily saying, I want to be Rory's father. Can I parent her? I think what he was just mostly saying is, what's my role in terms of Rory and I think even if Lorelai had said, hey, look, treat her the way I do. We're her and I are best friends. So, I think that like that's probably the best way for you to sort of fit in here is that you're a friend. If you see them around like, but she didn't even really want to get into that. She just really just didn't. She wanted to dismiss any idea that he might have a relationship with her in the context of their marriage, which again feels like you don't really want to be married to me. You just like this idea of getting married to me.
I think going along with that, with the whole like life is kind of like Rory's life is kind of set and stuff like that. I feel like considering that, and Lorelai touched on this not just in this episode, but kind of like previous episodes. Like I don't know. Along with everything that you said, I think she also like didn't want someone else to like call the shots with Rory because like her and Rory are like best friends. They have like this groove going, and she doesn't want that to change because like she likes having Rory to herself and she likes the dynamic that they have, and she doesn't want that to change. And she kind of hinted at that in a big way. when Max spent the night and then she like was in Rory's bed, because she was like weirded out by the fact that she had a guy in her room and things like that, and that things are going to change. And she said, our lives as we know it are officially over and things like that. And so I think she was like extremely scared and just didn't want their lives to change because she liked the way that they are now. Hence the reason, despite how quote unquote flexible she may be with things like that, she loves her town, she loves her stuff, she loves the way her life is. And just like you said, John, she likes the idea, she's in love with the idea of love. And that's not something that you should really base a life or a future on with someone. And so I think she's scared of that and she doesn't want it to change.
Kathy Ann, you've been flashing for a while. Did you have something you want to contribute?
Yeah, I don't know if it was talked about. I was having internet issues and I had to restart a couple times. But I don't even think that Max was fully in it at first. Like he asked her to get married to solve the problem of them arguing so much. And then like they still kept arguing and arguing. And it almost felt like he was pushing himself. And like right from the start, he was pushing himself into their lives to make sure that he could keep her.
Yeah, I could see that. He does sometimes come across as kind of pushy. That's one of the things I really didn't like about the character at times. But what did you guys think about Dean trying to give Max some insight that I think might have freaked Max out a little bit as well?
I thought it was great. Even though Dean's kind of annoying, that's like a great scene to me.
I thought it was funny.
It was hilarious. I mean, he's like, here, these are the rules. I've known them for a while. Just here you go. It's a lot to get to learn, but and Max is just really freaked out about it. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Shows how much Max doesn't know them just by not knowing any of the stuff he's talking about. And how much Dean has really gotten to know them. So he's not in it for, just Rory. He's involved 100% with both of them.
I agree. I think that I'm not a huge fan of Dean, but that scene specifically, it shows how much he pays attention to Rory and Lorelai. And like even when Max says you have much knowledge and he's like, you got that from Rory, it shows how much Dean has actually paid attention to pick up on things.
That or he's a low-key stalker, yeah.
What about the idea that it's the very getting to know them so well that has changed him, that has made him more of this character that everyone is not really liking?
You mean that he's trying to fit in so well with them?
Yeah.
There can only be one.
Totally, because think about it. I mean, in the first season, I felt, and even some of you were saying, well, yeah, you're right. Like you gotta wait. Gets so much more annoying. Trust me. Yeah, I guess he's kind of cool in the season, right? And that first season, he didn't know them, and he was sort of like, and there seemed to be something about him that felt very independent. He felt like he was himself, and he wasn't ashamed of who he was, and and now
he's more cool.
Yeah, and now he makes sure that he doesn't talk out of line, that he answers the pepperoni the way that it's supposed to be answered, and he does, and in doing all of that, he may have lost everything that made him appealing in that first, or in the first season, in the first part of Rory's life, which is, I mean, that's a very weird, interesting thought that it's, that his eagerness to not lose these two or Rory, but really like the two of them come together, that his like fear of losing them has him just sort of letting go of all of these aspects of himself to, you know, to sort of be what they need him to be in the moment.
I think
It might be changed after the breakup. Pre-Dean was kind of cool. Pre-breakup, post-breakup, get back together, kind of clingy.
Yeah, I think like it's because I mean the show is called Gilmore Girls, and so there can only there's like 4 Gilmore Girls.
It's not called Gilmore Dean. We know
Exactly. So I feel like can only be one. Okay, this is not gonna make sense considering there's 2 Lorelai. But stay with me on this. There's only one Lorelai and one Rory. Their personalities, there's only room for 2 of them. And Dean is kind of, and we see this in like regular life, people lose themselves in a relationship because they don't want to lose the person. I've done it before. And you can totally see yourself change because you see yourself as the person you were before you were in the relationship. You had your own stuff, your own things. And then once you get into it and you get really deep into the relationship, you kind of lose yourself and try to be the person that the other person wants you to be. And we kind of see that with Dean a lot because as people have said over the first season, he had his own thing. Like he ate a salad at the Donna Reed episode, and he just had his stuff. And then post breakup, well, after breakup, season 2, he kind of lost himself because he doesn't want to lose Rory again. And so he's trying so hard to like fit in that he's losing himself, which ultimately is probably gonna bite him in the butt. Because no one likes someone that's a copy of themselves.
But doesn't that make you feel bad for him? Like,
I mean, yes, but I think he's just so needy in that aspect where he doesn't want to lose her. So it's like, okay, well, I don't want to lose her. I can't be who I was because she doesn't like that. So I'm just going to try to be, fit in so much with them that like, okay, I might lose myself, but I'd rather lose myself than her. So I do feel bad for him, but I mean, he's doing this to himself. So.
Well, yeah, and like
I don't
college
think
is
he
on the
realizes he's
horizon
doing
too. So they have this close relationship, and he is going to lose her, or their relationship it's inevitable that it's going to change because she's going off to Harvard or wherever she wants to go, and he's not going to Harvard, so he doesn't care. And so I do feel badly for him, but part of that conversation between Dean and Max does rub me the wrong way, just because I don't know. I just feel like if this teen boy was just basically like, yeah, you have to completely, do all these things or you won't fit in. I don't know. It just is kind of like, I get you have to fit into their life, especially with Lorelai and how she is, but then maybe, but do you lose yourself and just completely fit into them and isn't there a give and take, especially when you're going to marry somebody? And so that's why it just blows my mind because they're 2 weeks away from the wedding, and this is the first time they've gotten breakfast together. This is the first time he's sleeping over. Like they need
that's crazy.
all this stuff.
The first time he's going
to Luke.
Also,
yeah.
when you walk into Luke's, the people who come every single day, why wouldn't you look at the menu? Why wouldn't you ask them what's the best thing that Luke's got and just go with what they've got?
Some people are
that's
picky. I would
Medina.
have to look at a menu.
Max does not seem like
Wait,
a blueberry pancake like kind of guy.
Hey, Shelley, I saw you flashing your mic down there. Did you want to say something?
I have well, one of my first things I was gonna say was the Hubo. Like, where did Luke build that? He had in his apartment. I just that always bothered me. I don't know if it's in the same. I don't know. He talks about his dad's garage or something, so maybe he had a garage somewhere. But then I also think that and maybe this is a spoiler, but I think they dumbed down that character of Dean as it goes on, or maybe even now. He's been dumbed down from the first season. Like, I think he started out kind of smart and witty, and then he changed, and he's not as he's not as charming as he was. He's not, and it's just like this, his disinterest in college with her and everything is just, I feel like he was dumbed down. And I think
John, you said
worse.
something like that.
His banter's not as good as it used to be. Now it's just, I agree with Rory and whatever you have to say.
It also just like he's like, what movie do you want to watch tonight? Like it seems like it's just gotten, their relationship has gotten just so completely boring.
Big thing in a relationship, you need to have, or this is just me, you need to have banter. And, or else, like, for me, it's not going to work. Because I love to have banter with somebody, and if someone can't, if it's only one-way street, whichever way it is, if the guy has banter but the girl doesn't, or whatever type of relationship it is, I think, like, it doesn't work. And, like, what Shelley was saying about, like, or who was it that said something about banter?
Well, me?
Oh, yeah.
I said his banter wasn't as good.
Yeah, and so he lives in that, and so banter is a very important thing in a relationship. I don't know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Is he still building that car? Has that just gone away? Has that just evaporated? Or do you think he's actually building it?
Patient. Just keep watching.
Patient.
All right.
Come on, Dad. You know he's still working on it because he's still doing everything for Rory. And I don't think Dean always realizes. I want to believe that he's supposed to be a 16 or 17-year-old boy, right? So I kind of believe he doesn't realize that he's losing himself. He's just so focused on trying to keep his relationship going well after everything they went through before. And she finally told him that she loved him, that now he wants to just appease her and he wants to just be happy. And I don't even know if he realizes that he's losing his own personality in everything when it comes to them. He's just kind of being a teenage boy that thinks he's in love.
Let's just hope that no other handsome young men come into Rory's sphere of.
Brian,
But you know what? That's typical of teenage relationships. I feel like that is something that happens often in teenage relationships. There's always a more dominant personality. It's not always the guy. And the other partner tends to lose themselves or change themselves. And it's often the friends looking out from the outside going, what the hell's happening to you? This isn't who you are. So I don't think it's that odd or unrealistic that this is happening to Dean.
And
Are we the friends? Are we the friends looking at it?
Yeah, he just can't hear us.
Well, and he wouldn't
As
have
of right now,
people to tell us that because he was new to town. So he didn't have these long life friends that would notice this in him. He didn't have anybody who knew him so well that they would necessarily see the changes. So for him, it's just kind of something that maybe it's happening to him, and there's nobody there to say, hey, where'd you go, man? What are you doing? Why are you just doing everything Rory wants? But Todd,
we know what Todd is like.
Todd doesn't notice anything but Clark.
Yep. Does Dean even have friends?
Yeah, Todd, that's it.
Todd. That's him.
He was the new kid, and he met Rory right away, so he didn't really have time to.
Exactly. That speaks a lot about him.
Also, I really miss Lane. I really miss Lane not being around for Rory right now.
I agree.
So she's off the show. She's off the show now. She's gone. That character.
She's in Korea.
Forever and ever, John. Forever and ever. She never comes back.
Oh man, I was really getting into that character.
And they never saw her again.
She's somewhere in a suitcase in Korea.
Rachel, were you flashing your mic?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else down here at the bottom that was flashing their mic and I didn't see?
No flashing, but I do have a comment.
Yep.
I feel like I'm like one of the few that it doesn't really feel bad for Dean. I think he's just doing too much and he's just being too clingy. And it's like, you know, they broke up because he wanted her to be ready for something she wasn't ready to do, and now he's over here like really pushing her and being like, well, I want to hang out now and do this and this and this. She's like no, and they're getting in fights about it. It's like, this is like really similar to why you broke up. Like, just like chill out and have a conversation or something. Like, you don't sit at a bus stop for who knows how long and wait for somebody. Like, meet them at their house after they've like settled from their day. I don't know. I don't really feel bad for him. I think he's just acting a little too weird for me.
Yeah, as a person who's been clingy in a relationship when I was younger, I mean 20, but still younger, someone can only take so much. And like Rory's such a nice person that she doesn't want to cause conflict, and she doesn't want to be that person to be like, look, bro, well, not bro, but bro, you're smothering me type thing. So she's not going to say anything, but I think she even notices it, but she's such a nice person that she doesn't want to say anything. So she's just going to kind of let him do it. But yeah, Dean's like borderline like stage fright clinger here. And for me, that's even too much.
John, if your Dean crush in season 1 was a 5, what is it now? Like 5 top, 1 bottom.
Oh, well,
Has it changed?
for me, I like, I actually, when I start to feel for a character and I'm still feeling for him, I thought he was like, I thought he was just like a cool, great love interest for a season. And now, I feel bad for him, and so I still really like him. But I guess, I know that I just know that it's just not in the cards for them. You can just feel it. And so for that reason alone, I'd probably say that it's now dropped to a 1 because I can't imagine how he would ever really, at least at this point. I could imagine him and Rory breaking up and then being apart for like a decade and then coming back and like finding amazing love. That I can imagine, but not now, not while they're young. So I would say 1 now.
Ooh.
There's nobody else here, so it's like, I'm really invested in what's going on with them, and but of course just feeling like it's not going to work. And that makes me feel bad for the character. Maybe that's because, like I said, I can relate to him, being that he's a guy. I can sort of put myself into that situation and, imagine what it would be like if I was being too clingy because I was scared of losing somebody. So I'm still into the character, I guess. I'm still really invested in what's going on. But he's not like my crush anymore, so to speak.
Fair.
I think it's really. Oh, sorry. I think it's really interesting. I was just thinking, I've never thought of this before, but it's interesting that both Lorelai and Rory have really never had a relationship before. I mean, Lorelai says at some point, like, oh, there's, always a passing glance here and there, but like never really a relationship, not since Chris as a teenager. So I think it's really interesting that they're both kind of, like both Lorelai and Rory are kind of doing this wrong. Like they seem to both not know what to look out for in a relationship that's not working.
Yeah, I'm thinking, what I'm thinking now is, it's so funny because I'm watching this with a bunch of people who have all seen the show, so they know the answer to this question. But like, I'm trying to imagine that we're all like totally fresh.
Ask it.
So I'm like, oh man, so next episode is going to be in the mountains. Those two are going to be in the mountains. And all I'm thinking is Dean is going to be freaking out. Like, I'm not even thinking about Max anymore and like being left at the altar. I'm thinking like Dean is probably going to be like, where the hell is Rory? Where's Rory? Where's Rory?
Well,
That'd be hilarious.
to know she told Max. I mean, she told Rory. Does Max even know he's not getting married?
I think so.
She'll find out when she doesn't show up to the wedding.
Well, I think like it's kind of like, maybe, I don't know, I don't have the DVDs. Maybe it's a deleted scene somewhere, but maybe it's like kind of one of those things that like he was told, but it kind of didn't need to be added because the last scene of the episode spoke for itself, type thing. But I don't know about Dean. Dean's probably having a mental breakdown somewhere.
I actually got the sense that she actually didn't tell Max, and that she just needed to get out of there, and that Rory got it. Was like, okay, cool, great, I understand. Let's go. And that Max is going to wake up tomorrow and start calling and be like, what's going on? And then at a certain point in the day, he's going to be like, okay, I've been stood up.
So that would be pretty appropriate if you proposed over the phone and then she breaks off the engagement over the phone, like two pretty huge moments in a person's life that are not done in person. And
I'm pretty sure she didn't tell him. I've left somebody that way before too, and that's what it looked like.
I was gonna say, like, I could spoil it.
Yeah, Kathy
Kathy Ann. Say, but
Are we still on the timeline where he's supposed to bring her the printer tomorrow?
Well, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
So is he just gonna show up and still not have a key, and she's just not gonna be able to be found?
Probably. And the next episode is called The Road Trip to blah, 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 blah. So.
Excellent. Hey, everybody, I'm actually going to jump. I know it's getting kind of late over there for folks on the East Coast as well. However, as we all know, everybody's moderator here who's up on the couch, which means that I leave the room stays open. So please feel free to stick around and continue talking, and know that at least one person is leaving that can be spoiled. And my guess is there's nobody left that can be spoiled after I leave. So continue talking and talk about whatever you'd like in regards to what's coming next. I will be back again tomorrow, 7 p.m. Same time. We're going to see these two up in the mountains. I'm convinced of it. And yeah.
Them up in the mountains? Have you met them?
Or something.
So just so you know, John, I'm keeping a list of your predictions and questions to go back to as we go.
Really?
Kathy Ann, I think, is
I've
too.
been doing that too.
Beautiful.
Woo! I keep mental notes.
Well, thank you everyone again for the great insight and the fun and the companionship. I'll be back tomorrow, and I hope to see most of you, if not all of you, back.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, John.
Good night, John. Bye, everyone.